Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to Battle Wounds Podcast, and I'm your host, Amos St. Jean.
It's your boy Tank. How y'all feeling today?
Yeah. Welcome back. For those, this is your first time, thank you for tuning in. Do me a favor. Tell them what to do.
Subscribe.
Like,
whether it's on Apple, whether we on Spotify, or we on YouTube.
Go ahead and do it right now. We need the
Click
support.
that button. Comment. Like, throw a thumbs up. Do something. Get some energy going. That's what we trying to get there. We're trying to build that vibe. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. Listen, man, it's been an amazing journey thus far. The season has been off to a good start. We just getting warmed up, man. Like, real talk. We getting warmed up, man.
You know what I mean? We getting ready for the it's not even the NBA finals yet. It ain't even Super Bowl, but we getting ready for that game. The season, is just beginning. The fun has just begun.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You got bars, man. This dude stays with bars, man.
Hey, man, music in my soul, man. That's how we go.
Yeah. I love it, man. I love it. Listen, again, thank you for tuning in. It's been amazing. Last week we talked a little bit about stress and stop stressing. Stressors, we out here going crazy, man, and I tell you, we got to find better ways to manage our stress. So, make sure you tune in back to that episode. We do a little bit of recap, but listen, we dig in, we share some tips on how to better manage your stress, whether it's financial, whether it's relational, whether it's health wise. You know what I'm saying? Like, we really dig in a little bit. And so we do appreciate the feedback, and make sure you like and comment. Share what your experience is, because we got to know what's the temperature out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I kind of wanted to say, if y'all need help and I have somebody in my wheelhouse that I can reach out to, whether it be my sister, whether it be another mental health professional, I can always connect people. I have no problem doing that. We're here for y'all, and we're here to help build a community so that everybody can benefit off of it. You know what I mean?
I agree. We are here for you. I was thinking today how, like, we go through experiences not just to keep for ourselves, like through experiences, through good, bad, or even bad experiences. I think both of us have acquired a lot of lessons, and through lessons you acquire wisdom. And I think in order for us to move further, we got to continue to help the next person, like through the experiences we have or the people around us that have experienced things. We want to share our experiences, our wisdom, our knowledge of things that we may have experienced. And is there areas we may not have yet experienced and we are going to experience? And I think it's just all about establishing a healthy community. Like, we are in this together. You know what I'm saying?
No, I definitely feel that. I know a lot of people feel isolated a lot of times and won't speak up. I'm one of them, but I've learned to come out of my shell when it comes to asking for help. It's a thing of understanding that you're not alone.
Yeah.
And that people care.
But
you have to let them know, and you have to give them the ability to show that they care.
Listen, I know a lot of people hide their wounds. And the reason why I titled this thing Battle Wounds is because, like, listen, man, we hurting. And sometimes wounds are not apparent. Sometimes they're underneath the skin or underneath. And we're doing our best to provide an environment, a platform where, hey, if you feel wounded or you're hurting, listen, let's establish a family, let's establish a brotherhood, let's establish a community so we can kind of heal together. I think that's something that we did, especially during the pandemic, man. We all were going through problems, and we established a brotherhood, a community to just help deal with our wounds, man, in life.
No matter what the situation, we always find a way to make connections with each other. That's the human existence, and it's a way for us to make sure that we stay connected and that we are able to function. Because again, it's scientific proof that being isolated is not good for your health.
We can't do this alone.
And that's the problem, is that I know a lot of times people have said, I did this by myself. I got this out the mud. That's great. But there was still somebody who opened the door or gave you some type of push forward or tried to give you, a leg up in life, whether it's your parents, whether it's a mentor, whether it can be a stranger who just wanted to show you what love was. And, just giving whatever they had in that sense to try to get you to grow. Or help you to grow in that sense.
That's good. It's good to have that connection, to have help, to have that extended hand to help you up in times of need. And so that's why this part of this podcast, majority of this podcast is to provide that hand to help. You know what I mean? And so again, thank you for tuning in. We're going to have fun, man. I this episode, man, I think in my experiences, as I said, we go through experience so we can help share with the next person. I can reflect in my 44, almost 45 years of life, how many times I fumbled the bag, dog.
Yeah, man, that's the crazy part is being able to understand that just because you want something right then and there doesn't mean that you need to get
Listen, man, we're going to touch on that because this episode we're talking about, man, listen, don't fumble the bag. Where we can't fumble the bag, and how many times we fumbled it, you know what I'm saying? I'm on TikTok, scrolling through TikTok, and there's this particular, I don't know his name, but he speaks to business people,
yeah,
and asks them what some their experiences and stuff and I've gone through at least maybe 10 or 20 of them, and majority of them have fumbled. These are billionaires, millionaires. They have fumbled the bag, and they talk about it. It's I've lost 150 mil. I'm like, what?
Yeah, but the thing is, you also have to crack a few eggs to make an omelet. So it's it's understanding that just because you have a step back doesn't mean you can't make a major comeback.
Up,
You know what I mean? And you can't just push forward because everybody has understood failure is a part of life and it's a part of a step to succeed.
Well, in your field, you talk about failure with muscles, man. That applies to the same principle.
Yeah, man. I say one of the biggest things is that when I see somebody gone for a little bit, come back after a long break or something, they went on vacation or they just fell off the gym and they're like, man, I feel like I failed. And it's like, hey, man, well, it's time to make a comeback. You know where you messed up and you know where we can do better. So let's stop crying about it and let's go for it, man. You can't cry over spilled milk, man. You can't sop it up and use it again, right? So let's move forward, man.
Yeah.
That's what it's really about.
Yep, yeah. And I noticed watching on TikTok, these guys, it was a common thing. It's mind you, they're millionaires, highly successful. They've grossed. Some of them talking about, I made $7 million last year. Because the guy asked, what's the most you've made in a year? And some of them, some of the numbers they quote, and listen, they crazy numbers. But one common denominator I've noticed is that, I've had broke days. I've had failure. I've basically fumbled the bag. And these are again, multi-millionaires and billionaires. And I was like, oh. Sometimes, I don't want to say, I guess failure is necessary in order to move forward. It's all about how you deal with failure. What's the common denominator I've noticed about really succeeding in your finances is overcoming failure. We hear, again, Tyler Perry.
Yeah.
That his story is a perfect example. This dude was evicted, lived in his car.
Yeah.
His first playwright was a huge failure. This dude went through it, but he didn't stay there.
But the thing is, he had to also understand he was doing what he loved to do. And just because it doesn't yield what you want it to yield right away doesn't mean it's not worth the wait.
Man, you preaching.
You know what I mean? And that's because I understand I've gone through my ups and downs. I've, during this recession and inflation and all that, I've had clients have to come and go, and it's not because it wasn't what they wanted as far as training. It was the fact that things came up. Finances are a real thing. Yeah. And it's all good because at the same time, I was like, I'm still going to help you because this is what I love to do.
Listen,
I don't do it for the money. I do it because this is what my gift is. And
I know that about your heart, man. And I always notice even in my life and in my journey, you've helped pick me up in moments when I didn't have, you know what I'm saying? And I just literally know that you're blessed and you're going to continue to be blessed because you have a heart. And that's a whole nother conversation. But success requires some downturn, some failure. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And one thing I noticed again with these multimillionaires is they've navigated tremendous loss. And so I want to just talk about common mistakes we make in our finances, especially men. And, I do a little research. And so it's what are some common mistakes? From my experience, I think for me, one of them is not planning. I didn't if they say if you plan to fail, you fail to what is it? Yeah, if you plan, what is it? If you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Facts.
And if you don't have a plan, and so this week I actually I worked on my 5-year plan. I'm gonna be 45 in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So I said, man, by the time I'm 50, what do I want to do? What lessons have I learned, and what am I gonna apply for the next 5 years? So that's a plan.
Now make sure that they're smart plans though.
Yeah, not realistic plan.
But if you remember what the actual breakdown is, it's like specific, measurable. You know, is it actually attainable? Is it realistic, and is it timely? You know what I mean? And make sure that you are doing those little breakdowns so that what you're shooting for you can actually accomplish.
Man.
And the thing is, there's things that you want to have that are lofty goals that may seem out of reach, so that you have something to strive for. Because if you're competitive, you know, a lot of us are competitive, like especially we play sports throughout our lives and things like that. You want to have that drive, because when a man loses his drive for that, he loses a lot. And that's the main thing, is that you have to look forward to something.
Yep, that's where the planning is so key in overcoming. You know, like I said, if you want to reach a certain level of success in your finances, it is indicative for you to plan. Have a financial plan. Have what, you know what I'm saying? And we're going to get into other things. But for me, I noticed this week I sat down, and I haven't done that, I'll be honest. Since the pandemic, that kind of blew everything up. But I actually decided to make a 5-year plan. And it's exciting because it gives me direction. It gives me some clarity. It gives me like laser point focus.
Yeah.
And having that plan, I'm telling you, man, like it's like meal prepping. Like you have a plan, like you have something, and you have some order.
So how did you come about that idea? What did you put in the mind to help you get to your goals?
So because I failed, I experienced failure. Like I actually, like as an adult, I felt like, yo, this is rock bottom. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I've been there.
Like I experienced rock bottom, and that probably brought me the greatest lessons that I could ever experience in life. And it was a great experience to overcome navigating rock bottom. I'm like, oh, okay. So I know what not to do again, or, you know what I'm saying, to never reach this point. Like, I bet you, again, like we say, Tyler Perry will never be in the predicament to be broke again. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, never say never.
Well, but I'm saying, like, but he experienced rock bottom so much. I think he's made enough mistakes to know, like, yo, I'm not going to do this. You know what I'm saying?
There you go.
And so I got to that point, was like, yo, all right, I've experienced this. Okay, it's not comfortable. It's uncertain. It's scary. All right, so now I have a clarity. Is like, that ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
So I know what works and what don't work, and so I'm like, okay, my plan is gonna fall into the areas that works for me, and so that's what happened. Like, I experienced rock bottom, and it's not like some of it was mistakes, some of it was just life.
Well, and the thing is, life is gonna keep life, and that's why
That's fact.
I'm gonna be honest. That's why I'm gonna bring up that dry erase board again. That was the best investment that I ever made, because at the end of the day, I can erase things and re-put things easily, and everything is interchangeable in that sense. I can have a plan. This is what I want to do this year. This is what I want to do this month. This is what I want to do this day. This is what I want to do to win this second, if I need to put it that way. Because sometimes looking so far into the future, it's like walking into a mist and you don't know what it is. You can hope, wish, and pray, but you have to win that day first, and that's the main thing. If you can't win that second, that minute, that hour, that day, that week, that month, that year, you're not going to get anywhere. So look at, if you can't do it yourself too, reach out to financial planners, because there's so many that you can use. Matter of fact, they have apps for that where you can plan it for yourself.
Listen, that's a benefit of AI.
Yes,
like, AI, like, there are benefits. I know a lot of people are scared of it because it's really kind of crazy. Like, that thing really does a lot for you. So, but yes, having the help of wise counsel, financial planners also is a good tool into building your future and not fumbling the bag. You know what I'm saying? And so I got a jolt of energy and just so much like excitement, because I have a plan. Like, I know where I'm going. I know what I want, because I've learned when you experience rock bottom, And my rock bottom is different than everybody's rock bottom is different. So my rock bottom, if I tell you what I experienced, you'd be like, bro, what? That ain't nothing compared to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, but my rock bottom was enough for me to be like, yeah, I'm not doing this again. Or, man, I can live without that. Like, there were some things that I was living with, I was like, I thought I couldn't live without.
Yeah.
And when you didn't have it, he's like, wait a minute, I'm actually good without it. Like, I'll be honest, like, I canceled my Netflix and stuff like that, and I realized life goes on. Like, I haven't been streaming like I used to, and I was like, there's other things to do. Like, I saved, because the money, them streaming services, they keep going up, like they're going up and up. And I think I have like one or two. I got like YouTube TV or something like that. But like, I used to have all the streaming services, and so my streaming service bill monthly was astronomical.
Well, the thing is, again, that's the beauty, but also the repercussions of having so many things automated, because you don't really notice that money hitting your stuff unless you have like like push notices on your bank. So every time something pop out and it says $24.99, $19.99, ain't nothing $7.99 no more.
Listen, it just keeps going. And so once I got rid of so many of the streaming services, because it's like, man, you know what, you really, you know. And so I did that for the last couple of months, man. I was like, you know, and when I get back and build back up again, I know what I may not need a lot of those streaming services. I may keep a couple, but yeah, I realized when I reached the low point and the things that I was removed, I was like, yo, life still goes on, and actually you're good. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so the things that you thought you couldn't live without, you actually can live without and be fine.
I look at it, when stuff like that happens, it's time to reconnect with things that matter. And that, whether it be family, friends, or your fitness, everything in general, because a lot of times we get so caught up in the everyday and a routine that if we never break that routine, we don't have any idea of where we're going, because we're walking with blinders on. Yeah,
buddy. And it becomes a distraction. It becomes an idol. It becomes you know what I'm saying? And so I'm glad that when I plan with so much, like after you've fumbled the bag and you recover and you start realizing, okay, when I'm planning, I have a laser focus, like, yo, I know this is gonna work because I done wasted my time, I done wasted money, and now I'm not gonna waste no money. And so that's why I realized, like, sometimes millionaires lose $1 million there and then they gain 20 million. You know what I'm saying? They'll lose 2 million here. The next time they gain 20. So they done made up 10 times more. You know, so I was like, that's how you recover. Like, from fumbling the bag, it's all about the recovery, and planning plays a huge part in the recovery when you fumble the bag.
Now, mind you this, there's a lot of times where people think that these millionaires and billionaires come from absolutely nothing. You know, they rebound out of absolutely nothing, but really what they're doing is doing research on how to bounce back, because they did enough research on the market. They understood what the ebbs and flows of stocks were. They understood what, futures were, and they planned it because they knew that they were going to take a hit. And it's financial literacy that they have that we don't really have in general, because let's be honest, it's a relatively newer thing for especially the Black community, because we don't get taught that while we were in high school or middle school. Now you can see it. Now you can see some of these younger cats coming up out of nowhere making a lot of money. I got clientele who are really pushing up, and they younger than me, and I'm talking about they're doing way better than I've ever done at that age. But at the same time, the information is out there and it's more readily available thanks to the internet, thanks to AI. So now they also don't have to think for themselves. I hate to say it, but the computers will think for them in that sense.
I was reflecting, because sometimes when you hit rock bottom, you're like, okay, it was my fault, or I could have done better. And it's like, honestly, especially if you didn't grow up with a silver spoon. Like, for me, my parents are both immigrants, you know what I'm saying? They came in, was raised with the American dream. They were raised like, listen, we gonna survive, And I was raised under that, and nothing against that. Like, we lived comfortably, but we weren't, you know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't balling. Like, I had a lot of hand-me-downs, and I didn't have the fat, you know what I'm saying? And so now that I'm an adult and I'm learning, like, oh, I didn't know better. Like, you know what I'm saying? Now I know better. So my daughter, she's gonna have that, you know what I'm saying? And so it's like, some of that stuff is really not your fault. Like you weren't raised with that financial literacy. Like a lot of black families weren't raised with that in their household. They were basically raised to just survive and, you know what I'm saying? Like get by. And so I learned, I was like, okay, it's not your fault, but now what do you do moving forward?
Now, the biggest thing you also got to remember too is not to be stuck in that struggle mentality and struggle mode, because the thing is, I've been there, and sometimes I still fall back into it when I know or I foresee something's about to happen. I'm like, let me go ahead and get back in the grind mode. And at the same time, I have to be like, nah, man, move smarter. Work smarter, not harder.
Yes, sir.
Instead of doing that same old, because things that's going to put too much stress on you on that moment. Because as you age, you're supposed to get wiser. That means you accumulate the knowledge and actually put that knowledge into action. Good. So when it comes to, the smallest things about just financial literacy, you look at budgeting. Like my mom came from a military background because my grandfather, was a colonel. And then my dad came from more of a humble background, because it was just him, his two sisters, his older brother, and his mama. And they had to do a lot more things just, by hand and, working different odd jobs, because they came from more of a country background. You know what I'm saying? It's not saying that there wasn't struggles in the military, because military, you can't mess up. And they watch you like a hawk. Especially, again, you're a black family in the military. And then you have, in the country where my dad was born during segregation. Oh, never mind. So, you know what I mean? It was a whole different thing. But he told me, he said, break things down. Both of them really told me to break things down to the brass tactics. Make sure you budget what you need to live. And make sure all that's taken care of before you start thinking of, hey, let me go buy this just on a whim. So if everything that you have, whether it's your rent, your groceries, your utilities, and things that you need just to live, that's the simplest way to break it down.
There's but a lot of these, there's wants and needs, assets and liabilities. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's something that's important. I think for me, in the last couple of years, one thing I also have to take intact, when your emotions are not intact, that also affects you. You got to make sure, because I done came across a lot of money in the last couple of years, going through it. But my emotions, my mind I was going through so much. It's like, you know what I'm saying? And so I realized, that mind and emotions got to be intact. You know what I'm saying? Because emotionally, a lot of people, honestly, that I was hearing about a story, somebody who made millions of dollars and wasted it on drug abuse. You know what I'm saying? Because they were going through stuff. If you don't got that intact, you're gonna squander it. You know what I'm saying? And it's and so part of the planning stages and all that stuff, you got to make sure that you're good in your head and in your emotions, because a lot of us, we just act impulsive and don't care about what liabilities are, or assets are, or wants and needs. We just gonna do whatever gonna make us feel good. And that's why a lot of people that win the lottery and win all this money, they lose that money quick because they ain't got it all here or in here.
When you look at it like this, so when you look at when the stock market crashed, 1930, right before the depression, and what caused the depression, you had people who had always had money, and they didn't know what to do without it. They were jumping out of buildings, killing themselves because they never been without money.
That's crazy.
So at the same time, you had people who had, again, been poor before, and they're like this, you know what? We just gonna go ahead and pull on back, and we're gonna make it happen, Jack. That's all it is. It's not even a struggle for them, because the thing is, they respected the money. When you have people who have never had to respect the money that they earned, they didn't really earn it. Most of them hadn't even had to do nothing to do it. Nothing to get it. They hauled off and had a trust fund, or they had somebody who built it up. But what that parent really wanted them to do was respect that money and build that money, not just squander it.
That respect is huge, man.
Man, respect all around. Then we say that this podcast is about respect. We're going to teach you some respect over here. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's about money or about people, we're going to teach you some respect.
That respect goes far. And I love that. And so I think that in common mistakes in people in their finances is definitely they fail to plan. And so if you don't budget, if you don't learn what your wants or decipher between what your wants and your needs are, understand what our assets and what liabilities are, the financial planning, financial literacy is key. Another common mistake that people do is that they basically rely on one source of income.
Yeah, and that's not what it is nowadays.
Listen, you got
man.
For me, as a single black man, I can't just rely on one source of income. You know, like you got to have multiple sources going on. Like, you know, if you're a football player or if you balling out of control,
they got 2, 3, 4 sources of income. They have
diversified.
There you go. They diversified everything that they have. Mm-hmm. They have diverse portfolios that they've invested in, whether it's their own business or somebody else's business that's already built up, but they already have a built trust with them. Yeah. So they know what the money is doing and where it's going at the same time.
Having multiple sources of income. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Look, you can ask anybody who knows me really well. I've always done security. I've always had personal training on the side. I've always done other things like that throughout my life to make sure that I was going to have at least 2 sources of income. So this is nothing new. So do what you love to do and figure out what you can tangibly, add on to it. Whether it's like, okay, let's say you do, finances. Like you're a financial planner for somebody, since we need people like that. Yeah. And matter of fact, might have a couple of them come to this podcast and help set some stuff out. Yeah. Well, if you do that for a company, you can have your own side business doing stuff for other people. And have multiple streams of income that you don't even have to go travel to go do nothing for them. Facts. You know what I mean? Or if people remember what is that barbecue man? And every single block there was one. It didn't even matter because what they do, they may have a day job working at the factory or maybe working at GM or doing something like that, and they sell plates.
And that's how listen.
And old school had it.
Listen.
You know what I mean?
And I noticed, people like, for me, I'm a musician, I'm a music producer, I'm a filmmaker, I'm a cinematographer. I got some hats going on because I know when you experience seasons like I just experienced, where your main source of income is moved out the way, I was still able to navigate. Now I was not able to navigate at the level that I was with a main source of income. What it taught me was like, if you really put efforts in establishing several sources of income, and then it falls into the other thing, rainy day fund. So okay, the first thing we talked about financial planning. Second thing we talked about having more than one sources of income. Okay. A common mistake is that people they don't plan their finances. Secondly, they'll rely on one source of income. The third thing is that, they don't set aside a rainy day fund. Now, let's be realistic. It's very hard in these times to have that. But there is seasons when you are able to have that. It is having that awareness to set it aside for a rainy day.
Well, I feel more it's like this. They know that it's coming.
True.
But at the same time, it's like, hey man, the Jays just came out, bro. Man, that's gonna at least be 2 bills, man.
Listen.
You know what I mean? 250, maybe 3.
That assets and liabilities. That's a liability.
I want to get a new car. You don't need one at that moment.
That's a liability.
But because you feel like you want to be, number one on the block on that situation, you want to go ahead and get that car that's going to make you look like a star. But at the same time, you're going to put yourself back so much more money because that car note that you did not have, that you were stacking at $400, $500, $600, $700, $800, $900 every month is now going to go away because you sitting over there worrying about what everybody else think of you at that moment.
That's where that head piece and that heart is, man. That's important.
Exactly. It's that pride. That pride right there.
That's what, and I'm telling you, when you don't set aside for the rainy day, I remember... I was talking to a big brother of mine, and I was like, "Man, I'm going through it." He's like, "Listen, man, sometimes you got to prepare for the famine." He said, "That's and when you're in the seasons of success." And he said, "I learned it now. That's not something I picked up all overnight. I had to learn and go through several seasons of rock bottom to understand. Like, even in seasons of harvest, you got to prepare for the famine."
Yeah, it's gonna come, and that's the thing that most people don't want to see, though. True. They're also afraid of it. Embrace it.
You got to embrace it. Yep.
Yeah, life is going to have that ebb and flow.
Yep. And so I would say this, one of the greatest lessons I've learned, when you enter a season of harvest, when money is flowing like crazy, this is one of the best advice that I would give, not just to myself, but to you. Prepare for the famine.
Hey, we call it another thing. We call it getting lean, man. You know what I'm saying? You got to get lean with the finances, man.
Yeah,
listen.
Even when you winning, you gotta get lean with the finances. Prepare for the famine.
You may be rolling in the green, but soon you will be lean.
Listen,
that's how it go. Because you start putting money into random things that don't yield you nothing now, unless you putting in pieces that will, appreciate with value.
Yeah,
which that's what a lot of people do.
That's an asset.
As an asset, and then it had to always be just like a stock or anything like that. You can actually get pieces like, ladies, if you have purses that will appreciate with value, you can use that.
That's
as leverage for something else.
It's in your hand.
You
Sometimes
know what I mean?
Well, your answer is literally in your hand.
I'll tell you some of the wildest thing I ever seen in my life. You remember the Pokemon cards back in the day?
Yo,
man. If I would have held on to some of the stuff I had,
rich.
Knowing the fact that them things would be like a piece of cardboard for 2, 3, 4, 5 G's, and I done seen 10 G's on it. I was like, this. I was like, hold on, let me go back to Austin and go look through some of the stuff I possibly have.
You never know.
You never know.
Listen,
but you have to learn to look for it everywhere. You know what I mean? Something to invest into. My people. If you really want to be wealthy, you have to learn to invest. It's not all that grinding day in and day out is not how people get wealthy. You can get rich, but rich can leave just as fast.
Facts.
Wealthy is going to be long term for you and your family. Set the milestone now so that when you have kids and they have kids, you have something you can pass on other than the bill.
Yeah, something for your children and their children's children.
Exactly. You don't want to pass on a family bill.
Nope.
That's not what it is.
That ain't what it is, man. And I'm telling you, having that mindset of saving and preparing for the famine, like, it's so key. And that's one of the hardest lessons I learned, man, is like, honestly, partially life was lifing. A lot of it was life was lifing. I wasn't out here squandering money. Like, there's times, I was thinking about the other day, Tank, it was like, man, every time I step out, it feels like money is spending. Like, I take a step outside. Like, as long as I stay home, I ain't spending money.
Yeah.
The minute you walk out the door and get in your car, I feel like money is just falling out my pocket. And so when life is moving, so is currency. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
And so sometimes when you try to hold on to stuff, life just keep moving. Like, again, the last couple of years, I've had a lot of money. And life was moving. I've dealt with several deaths in the family. I was dealing with so much, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And life was moving. And it was like the very money that you were just trying to hold on to, it just disappeared.
Slipped through your fingers,
it's
right?
It's like, God, dog.
Yeah, man.
But one thing I learned in my experience is like, okay, yeah, it slipped through your fingers, but guess what? It's going to come back again. If you keep going, you learn from your, not mistakes, but learn from your experiences. When that money comes back, you're like, okay, I know life is going to keep moving, but you know what? Let me hurry up and tuck it somewhere, or let me put it, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you go through this experience so you can learn, like, yo, but don't dwell there in the past. Like, yo, I had $200, man. Man, you about to get 200 grand. Like, if you let go that little $200 that you missed. Yeah, it was a good time, but what's ahead of you is going to be way better. So I learned that. Okay, I learned from that. Okay, I had this money. Cool. Now I've got more opportunities coming ahead of me. What am I going to do with it? How am I going to prepare for it? And that's what this podcast is all about. It's like, listen, what are some common mistakes or things that I overlooked in the past that I want to do in the future? Like, okay, I'm going to make sure I have a plan. I'm going to make sure, you know what I'm saying, I prepare for a rainy day. I have multiple sources. I diversify. Right. You know what I'm saying? And it's so key in learning from the past, and you move forward.
Well, man, we have to also start looking from what the past has shown us.
Yeah.
Well, like, when my grandmother passed and they went through her house to get it ready to be rented out, things like that, they went through some of the clothing and the tapestry, and there was money sewn in there. Wow. But that's how they did it back there during the Depression, is they sewed money into the tapestry.
Wow.
And what that did was that made money out of sight, out of mind.
Yo.
So when things went on and you needed something, you went to that tapestry to do it. And I think a lot of people start, when they see money, they spend it. So one of the big, You know,
That's good. I like it. Know what you about to go with this.
You know, big pieces that I've kind of figured out and I had to learn from some of my mentors was like a Roth IRA.
Yeah.
So like, did you know, like if you started like 21 years old, putting $300 every single month into your Roth IRA, you'll have over $1 million by the time you're 50.
Right.
And a lot of people don't really know that because they don't want to wait because of the compound interest. It takes a while to do it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we want fast money. And I think, again, I bring social media into it. We watch everybody dropping fast money, but it ain't even so much fast money. You start looking at their credit card bills.
That part.
Because I'm telling you, like during COVID, we had a boom in credit cards because everybody wasn't working. A lot of people weren't getting what they
shopping,
need.
yeah.
And as soon as we got out there, did you notice that people stopped showing up to malls? People stopped showing up to all the other places and they were buying stuff online at a massive rate. That's why Amazon, if you know, had a huge boom during that. Yeah. But if you looked at people who also invested in Amazon, they knew that it was going to boom. You know what I mean? And they made investments to where now Amazon's technically working for them in that sense.
That's crazy.
Like they have the drop shipping stuff. I know you heard that. That's another source of income that most people can try to get a hold of. But if you didn't get in on it on an early time, you're not going to make as much because now you have people making money off of teaching you how to do it. So, you know, like going back to the whole situation with getting two sources of income, whatever you're good at, capitalize on what you're good at, even if it's something minuscule.
Yeah, you listen. It'd be the least thing you expect that booms. Like I remember some of the things that has warned me a lot of interest or money and all stuff. It was the stuff that I was least expected. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, but as long as you're having multiple sources moving, you know what I'm saying? Like you're not sure sometimes. Sometimes you have a sure shot. Okay, this is gonna boom.
Right.
Sometimes you're not sure which is gonna boom, and so it's like having multiple sources. You know, diversifying in your portfolios, and you know, like having not relying on just one thing. And I think that was one of the biggest lessons that I learned now as I move forward. Yes, I mean, thankfully, even in my season when I was booming, I did make some moves that are going to benefit me. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't that dumb, but it's just like, yo, you just get smarter. And I was so thankful. It's like, yo, I'm learning, and I feel like I'm going to have a similar testimony as some of those billionaires that I see on TikTok when it's like, yeah, I lost 150 mil, but you know, 1 year I grossed 80 million. I was like, 80 million? Like, what?
Oh man, he learned a new trade, or he asked somebody who was smarter than him on how they came up on something.
Or
man.
it's like they understood the name of the game. Like,
yeah,
it's like it's a risk. It's a risk sometimes. Like when you take a step out, you invest, you do this. It's a risk. You know what I'm saying? And that's what is the name of the game for a lot of these wealthy guys. They lose money. They lose couple. You know, I notice even with the like people like Charles Barkley, man, he's a huge gambler. Like like they comfortable with taking risk. I'm not too comfortable with that. Like I'm not a betting guy.
Well, you put money on somebody who know how to do it. Then like they have people who, you know, go through Vegas looking at these poker tournaments and they over there making a killing, but you don't see behind the scenes. You got a dude dropping money so this man can go to these poker tournaments and keep his family rolling, keep his business rolling, and he getting the cut, man. I'm telling you, the most wealthiest people are not the ones that you see flashing money because they're behind the scenes making that green.
Yo, one thing I learned, Tank, and it's like, I'm in it, like I said, I'm about to turn 45. One thing I learned, man, that flashiness ain't nothing. Like I said, I was sitting on some money, and like one of the things I was getting, I said, I'm gonna go ahead and get some Gucci, get some Balenciaga. It was cool. But I look back at it now, it's like, it sets such a precedence. Like when people see you wearing that stuff, it's automatic. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, I don't think that's the story I want people to like to like. And there's nothing wrong with it. You still see me in it, but I'm a little bit more cognizant. Like, I don't want to portray myself like, I'm, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm at the upper echelon. It's like, I'm being careful now because it's like spending my money, $3,500 on an outfit from Gucci. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like, that $3,500 like could have went towards, you know what I'm saying? Like, And it's like, yo, at the end of the day, was it worth it? Like, okay, cool. I did it. It was around my birthday. I had a good time. But it's like, I would do it. I'll go about it differently next time, man. And it's like, I don't regret it, but I had to learn, like, yo, sometimes, like, when people see you wearing that stuff, it gives, like, you know, like social media. Oh,
yeah.
yo, you wear Gucci. It automatically think you like this person. I was like, you know what? Honestly, the people who got it, you would never
I'm gonna
know.
tell you some of the richest people that I know will buy stuff from Target and rock it, and people will sit there and be like, "Oh man, you know, if he has all this money, why he doing this? That because he's smart.
I love it.
He not stupid. He's not like the average person who, as soon as I get 2, 3, 4 mil,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go buy every single thing out. I'm gonna go buy this random car that's not gonna appreciate with value. Because I'm gonna be honest, a lot of times when you drive a car right off the lot, you lose about 30, 40, 50 grand right off that. And you literally just paying somebody else's pockets.
I learned so many. Again, I'm about to be 45. I learned so much. Like, my next car, you know, I respect the old heads back when I was a kid. They used to buy stuff cash. I used to work at a church, and the pastor every 2 years would buy a new car cash, brand new Cadillac. He'll pull up to the lot, pull up to the church parking lot with a brand new Cadillac. He said, I just bought it cash. I was like, man, but I appreciate that, because it's like he can do that because it's like it's his.
That's true, but
and he was
also put the work in for it.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, but I used to make fun of that. Like, man, why is mine? Like, I see the power in that. Like, because I don't see the power in going and getting a car loan and having to pay so much in interest. Like, you paying for the car 2-3 times over after 5-6 years. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I never want to be in that predicament again. Like, my prayer as I move forward in life is, whatever I purchase, I'm going to own it. I'm not going to be paying a bank 2-3 times over. Like, even with my house, if I buy a house, I'm going to own it. And I'm not going to own, like, I'm not going to let the mortgage company own me.
Now, mind you, there's a way to leverage leasing stuff.
True.
And doing stuff like that. Because if you know that the upkeep of that car or the upkeep of that house isn't going to be what you want, and you only need that for a little bit, or you trying to move to bigger and better things, and the price is right, you can leverage. Because that's another way that people make money, is they leverage.
True.
You know, they leverage money or debt. And that's one thing that I'm still trying to learn, is how to leverage debt.
Listen.
And I'm telling you, that's, if you listen to some of the Fortune 500 company owners and some of the richest people in the world, they learned how to leverage debt. But they asked the right people. It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Facts. It's facts.
And that information is passed on through that. It's passed on through books. But let's be honest, the average person doesn't really read very much.
No.
But the thing is, what they could do is listen to the person who's invested the time and money in that, and learn from them, especially if they're giving you that free game.
Listen, I am thankful that I'm forever a student. I've said it. I'm forever a student. Like, till the day I pass away, I'm going to be learning something. And so I am constantly searching for information. Like, I want to learn. Like, even if I've acquired so much success and acquired so much money, I still want to learn. And that's going to always be my hunger and desire, to always wanting to learn and having the desire to learn. And so I am thankful, again, in the seasons where I had the highs and the seasons where I had the lows, like, there is lesson in it all. And if you fumbled the bag and you've lost tons of money or lost some money, you can recover, and you will recover. But it's important to have a plan. You know what I'm saying? And to have a multiple sources of income, diversifying, having a budget, having someone to help you plan with your finances, talking to someone who's gone through stuff or who has the knowledge. And then, yes, preparing for the famine. You know, he said getting lean in your money. Like, having that mindset is so key in recovery and in moving forward. And I'm telling you, it's like you get better and better, and you realize, and like, some of the stuff that you desired and wanted and thought that was going to be it's going to be the it thing and gain some notoriety, like wearing a fashion symbol, wearing this and that. At the end of the day, man, it ain't that important.
Fashion symbol ain't paying your bills.
That part.
And remember this though too. And I had to learn this as I grew older. The people that you hang around are the sum of what you're going to end up being.
Yep.
So if you hang around 4 people who don't push each other and don't really try to make strides, you're going to be that 5th person stuck in there. It was simple as you hang around 4 dummies, you're going to be that 5th. But if you hang around 4 rich people, you're going to be that 5th because they're going to bring you up.
Yep.
Your circle is so important when it comes to that. And plus, the people who love you, I ain't going to put you in a position
to fail.
Now, mind you, I said they love you.
If they do,
then they won't put you in a position to lose like that. And if you do lose, they have your back.
Yeah.
So you be careful who you hang around, because that can cause more financial stress than anything.
How many football players? I think I was scrolling through and I saw the story about MC Hammer, who lost 30 mil, something like that. Like, who squandered? He didn't squander, but like, he was helping so much people. It became so much of a burden. He basically went through 30 mil because he was trying to help the hood, And I mean, he had a good heart behind it, but it's like, sometimes if you overextend with a bunch of people who are not like lifting you up, or they're just taking from you, you're gonna end up losing, and they're gonna go on with their life, and you're gonna be stuck with the bill or stuck with bankruptcy and all I'm saying. And it was like, that was, he learned a huge lesson. And there's many football players who help their whole family and like they're broke because, like, so it's just all about your network. It helps determine your net worth.
And that's one good story that I was watching and reading more about was, look at Tyson. Tyson went from being on the top of the world, then going down and went to prison. And he said that those years in prison were the most peaceful ones of his life.
Wow.
Because when he came out, he started to slowly build himself back up. And now he's a brand name again. And that's the main thing. He got smarter.
He fumbled the bag, but recovered.
But you know what he also lost, though?
What?
The people who were around him, because they couldn't get anything from him because he didn't have anything. So the right people left him. And the right people came and got him. Yep,
that's right. I noticed with a lot of those stories when celebrities and athletes and stuff, fumble the bag, and some of them recover, some of them don't. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like, who got your back in those lowest moments. And for me, when in my experiencing rock bottom, I have a certain clarity of people I know who got my back, and that is a blessing, Tank, to know who got my back when you know what I'm saying? That, man, I'm telling you, dude, when I realized like, that's my peoples. My peoples. Like, that's my fam. Like, so when I'm climbing, I know who I'm going to, listen, it's like, I know who got me and I know who don't. And it's like, of course, when you're winning and people smell it and they're going to be like all leeching and you're going to attract a lot of randoms, I am wise enough to know, like, if you were riding with me when I was on my low, when I'm on my, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm thankful for experiencing, the lows and the financial lows, because you get to filter out who's with you and who's not. And even in relationships, like in dating or whatever, like your girl, if it's supposed to be riding with you, let's see her when you're not having all the flash. Is she gonna ride? You know what I'm saying? And that's what I learned. I was like, if somebody ride with me on the not so good seasons, trust me, you gonna rock with me when I'm
gonna tell you, the way you know that a woman really love you is it ain't got nothing to do with, the money aspect of the situation. When y'all go on dates, y'all could literally go to the most simple place, and it's just y'all enjoying the time. And you know what they say also, that the right woman will help you double, quadruple, and grow your money. Let alone grow in general.
Period.
It's biblical.
Yes, we can go there. Proverbs 31. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
When a man finds a wife, he finds a what?
And favor. He obtains favor from the Lord. And so I agree with that. And so my thing now is I had to look in the mirror and really, really ask myself, like, okay, you experienced rock bottom. Like, what did you learn? What did you learn from it? Because if you don't learn from it, you're going to keep repeating the cycle.
That's insanity.
You know what I'm saying?
It's literal insanity.
Expecting something different, but doing
the same thing, expecting a different. Yeah.
And so I literally looked in the mirror. I was like, Amos, what did you learn? And what I'm sharing today is part of, I have a long list of stuff that I learned, but I'm sharing is like, okay, have a plan, a budget, stick to it. You know what I'm saying? Prepare for a rainy day, have a rainy day fund and multiple sources of income. You know what I'm saying? Those are so key in all this part of the lessons I've learned, man. And I'm telling you, like, again, multiple sources of income, you're not, having a budget, a rainy day fund, and definitely surrounding yourself with people who are wiser than you, or, like, are successful, in their areas and stuff. Because, like, I would say greatness attracts greatness. You know what I'm saying? Like, success attracts success, and it attracts other things. But, like,
you ain't never lied.
But I feel like when you level up, you're gonna attract a whole people who like can understand the level. You know what I'm saying? Of course, you're gonna attract leeches with that, but also if you have a desire to be better in your life, healthier in your life. You know what I'm saying? I believe the energy that you portray, you'll attract people with that same energy.
I look at getting a mentor that knows more than you and has been through a little bit more than you. That's why I look to my elders to help me out with some of the things that I go through in life, whether it's financial or, just life in general, because you have people who have planned their life out, made mistakes, and are still on top or still within the means that they want to be able to live. You know what I mean? And getting that information from them, you may be able to digest it better than just reading it in a book.
Yeah.
Because you may not really, if you're not really key on the vernacular that they're using in that book, but somebody can simplify it for you, you'll be able to grasp on it, and you'll be able to continue to grow with it.
That's good.
You know what I mean? And that's why they say you're supposed to be around that group. And that's why I strive whenever I have a conversation with somebody who piques my interest as far as like they have that knowledge. I'm trying to soak in as much knowledge as I can, but what they may be lacking, I'm able to help fit where they lack, because I want it to be an equivalent exchange. If I have fitness knowledge and then I'm like, man, I need to learn how to invest, and I have a client who's far wealthier than me, he's like, all right, man, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to sit down and we're going to really go through all of your finances, all the budgeting, everything that you need to do so that you can get where you need to be in the next 5 to 10 years, so you don't have to work the rest of your life. This is what it's going to look like.
That's
and
fine.
I sit there and I get my pen and pad out, and I become that student again. You know what I mean? That. I highly recommend finding a group, which I know online you can find, Black business professionals.
Yeah.
You can find, if you're a young entrepreneur, you can find a group of professionals who can help you propel yourself up. They may have some type of meeting, whether it's a social, a gathering, whatever. Go meet them. Make a good impression. Let them know that you here and that you here to learn. And I promise you, somebody will grasp hold of your hand and be like, hey, look, I'm going to walk you through this. Because there's good brothers out there. There's good people out there, period.
It's important to connect with people with like minds, very kindred, kindred people. And that's why I feel like we work, like, because we have kindred, and in our circle of people that's in our immediate circle, man, like, we all have very similar interests, desires to win and level up in life, man. And I think throughout the years, like I said, we navigated the pandemic together, man.
Yeah, man.
And it was like, we got to, and all of us went through our storms personally, and all that stuff like that. And it's just having the right people around you. And it's like, you mentioned, and we said that even in our last pause, like having the council of elders, like having people who's been through what it before, who's been through more, and have succeeded and have learned and got the scars to prove it. You know what I'm saying? Man. Like, and I always sit.
The battle wounds.
Listen, they got the battle wounds. I always honor and respect my elders. Like whenever I get around someone who's been through it, I sit back and I'm just quiet because I'm like, they're about to blow my mind because it's like, yo, they've been through it. Like, and I can see that even with maybe people younger than me. Like I would sit and share some of my experiences and they'd be like, wow. But that's how I am with people who older than me, man. It's important. And, you know, and then there, of course, that's a whole nother podcast, but there's some young hotheads that don't want to listen, you know, and because they've achieved like, you know, see some of these knuckleheads who may, you know, achieve a certain level of success without really much effort. They're going to be like, what you can, you know what I'm saying?
But
like,
a hard head, you know, leaves a soft behind.
Yep.
And that's what it is. Sometimes you have to learn the hard way. And again, that goes back to taking that L. And you can't be afraid to take that L. But if somebody's willing to give you free game, man, take it. Because they don't have to waste their breath.
Yep.
And one thing that, you know, the young crowd can do, if you're looking for mentorship and something to give back to that mentorship, is help them to adapt to this day and age. Good. Because a lot of times they don't have that agility to be able to move like you move within AI, within social media, all that others, because they may not understand it. They've done enough to understand. Are they paying somebody to understand it? But they need to understand it themselves, so they know where their money's going and they know how things work. As long as you're able to give equivalent exchange, I promise you somebody's willing to give something to you.
That's good. That's good. That's good. I love it, man. I love it. I'm telling you, you know, we're gonna come back with some experts again to talk more about finances. But this episode was, again, don't fumble the bag. And if you have, you got to recover. Make sure you have a financial plan. Make sure you have multiple sources of income. Make sure you prepare for a rainy day. Those were the three main points that we talked about this episode. But we're gonna come back and talk more about finances. We're gonna talk about everything. We talked about health. Talk about finance. We talk about dating. We talk about it all. And so. Just make sure you subscribe, you like, you follow, you comment, you let us know what you're thinking. Like we want to hear from you. So make sure that you connect with us on our pages and make sure that you engage, because we just don't want this to just be about us talking. We want you to talk back. Exactly. So make sure that you take the moment, and we thank those who already have been sharing with us their feedback or their comments or their thoughts. And I know we're gonna, go live on maybe one of our platforms and connect with people live, or put panels out and polls out to kind of gauge where everyone is at. But again, we truly appreciate you tuning in to Battle Wounds podcast. And again, we talked about health as wealth, man. And
yes, sir.
Not just, again, the physical health, but your financial health, your mental health, your physical health, all of it. You know what I'm saying? Health is wealth. And so our goal, again, is to gain health in all aspects of our lives. So we're not just wealthy in one area, we're wealthy in all areas of our lives, and in health, a healthy wealth. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But it's been a tremendous blessing to get to this far in life and learn from lessons of rock bottom, fumbling the bag. And I'm guaranteeing you next time, I'm winning, and I'm going to have such a stronger sense of confidence and awareness and knowledge, and you know what I'm saying, because you recovered from failure, and that's the whole thing. It's like, don't dwell there, learn from it, recover, and move forward.
So for everybody who's going through something at this moment, as far as being lost, storms don't last long, but strong people do. If you make that mistake, if you take that L financially, just in life, get up, try again, because there's nothing in this world that can stop you from getting up other than yourself. Sometimes you got to get out of your own way. You also got to be smart enough to take help from somebody else, take counsel. So don't be afraid to reach out to another brother, another sister, whoever you trust, and try to get some information. Make sure that they're successful, not saying, and they can be successful in multiple different realms. It doesn't always have to be financial. It can be in life, period. Go to your elders, learn something, get up every single morning, find something to read to get you closer to what you want to be. Whether it's a doctor, whether it's a nurse, whether you want to have a fatter purse, it doesn't matter.
Bars.
I really just want y'all to focus on that. Again, that's why I'm up every morning doing consistency. Consistency can be whether it's reading, writing something, doing cardio, doing a workout, doing whatever. Hashtag yourself in consistency. Make yourself accountable for what you want to do. Can't nobody stop you but you.
That's good. That's good. I love it, man. I love it, man. That's what we're here for. We're here to help. We're here to inspire. We're here to encourage. And we're here to hold each other accountable, man. So, again, thank you so much for tuning into Battle Wounds Podcast. I'm your host, Amos St. John.
It's your boy, Tank.
Listen, health is
wealth.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, until next time, y'all stay tuned. Y'all stay healthy. Y'all stay focused. Let's do this. Let's get our bag right. Let's get our money right. Let's not fumble no more bags, y'all. Let's do this. All right? Till next time, man. Y'all be good.
Y'all be blessed.